Imagine a city alive with the sounds of jazz, the smell of bayonets, and the constant buzz of life. This was New Orleans in the early 20th century. But beneath the vibrant surface, a shadow was lurking, a phantom who would terrorize the city and then vanish, leaving behind a legacy of fear and one of the most baffling unsolved mysteries in American history. This is the story of the Axeman of New Orleans. Our story begins in the spring of 1918. The world was at war, but in New Orleans, a different kind of battle was brewing on the home front. On May 23rd, a grocer named Joseph Maggio and his wife Catherine were found brutally murdered in their home. The scene was horrific. The killer had used an axe, a tool belonging to the victims themselves, to commit the crime. A panel on their back door had been chiseled out, providing a small opening for the attacker to enter. Strangely, nothing of value was taken, though money was left in plain sight. The only thing missing was the murder weapon. The police were baffled. There were no clear motives, no suspects. Just a month later, another attack occurred. Louis Bezumer and his partner Harriet Lowe were discovered in their home, also attacked with an axe. Both were seriously injured but survived, at least initially. Again, a panel on the back door had been chiseled out, and again the weapon was one found on the property. Before she succumbed to her injuries, Harriet Lowe reportedly mumbled about a tall, heavy-set man, but her account was confused and inconsistent. The city was on edge. Two similar attacks in such a short time couldn't be a coincidence. The whispers began. A madman was on the loose. The summer of 1918 was a season of terror. In August, another woman, Mrs. Schneider, was attacked while she was pregnant. She awoke to a dark figure standing over her bed and was struck in the face. She survived, and her baby was born unharmed, a small miracle in the midst of the chaos. Her description of the attacker was vague, a dark, phantom-like figure. Then, just days later, an elderly man named Joseph Romano was attacked in a similar fashion. His niece, who was sleeping in the next room, discovered him. She saw the attacker fleeing and described him as a dark-skinned, heavy-set man. The pattern was becoming terrifyingly clear. The attacker would chisel out a door panel, use a weapon found at the scene, and often ignore valuables. The press dubbed him the Axeman. Panic gripped New Orleans. People started reinforcing their doors, sleeping with weapons by their beds, and looking at their neighbors with suspicion. The police were under immense pressure, arresting dozens of people, but releasing them all due to a lack of evidence. The Italian-American community, where most of the attacks were concentrated, was particularly terrified. Theories swirled. Was it a vendetta against Italian grocers? Was it a member of the mafia? Or was it something else entirely? As the months passed, the attacks continued, each one adding another layer of fear and mystery. The Cortimiglia family was attacked in March 1919. Charles, Rosie, and their 2-year-old daughter, Mary, were all struck with an axe. Miraculously, they all survived. Rosie Cortimiglia, in her fear and confusion, initially blamed her neighbors Iolando and Frank Giordano. The 2 men were arrested and convicted based on her testimony, but she later recanted, admitting she was too traumatized to identify her attacker properly. This wrongful conviction only added to the public's distrust of the official investigation. And then the Axeman did something truly bizarre. He wrote a letter to the city's newspapers. The letter, postmarked March 13, 1919, was arrogant, taunting, and utterly chilling. He claimed he was not human, but a demon from the hottest hell. He bragged about his crimes and mocked the police for their inability to catch him. And then he made a strange proposition. He announced that on the following Tuesday night, March 19th, he would pass over the city. He promised not to claim any more victims, but only on one condition: that every home in the city be filled with the sound of a jazz band. He wrote, "I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I had just mentioned." Can you imagine the scene? A city held hostage by a killer who demanded music as his tribute. On that specified Tuesday night, New Orleans erupted. Jazz music poured from every home, every bar, every dance hall. The city didn't sleep. It partied, a defiant, fearful celebration to appease a phantom. And true to his word, no one was attacked that night. The Axeman had kept his promise. This strange event solidified the Axeman's legendary status. Who was this person who killed with such brutality yet seemed to possess a love for jazz music? The letter only deepened the mystery. Was it a genuine communication from the killer, a clever prankster taking advantage of the city's fear, or something in between? The tone of the letter was so theatrical and otherworldly, it almost felt like a piece of fiction. Yet the murders were horrifyingly real. After the infamous jazz night, the attacks seemed to slow down. There were a few more incidents that summer and fall that bore his signature. Steve Boca, a grocer, was attacked in his bed. Sarah Lauman was found injured in her home. But the final confirmed victim of the Axeman came on October 27, 1919. Mike Pepitone was murdered in his home, his wife seeing a large man fleeing the scene. After this final, brutal act, the Axeman of New Orleans simply vanished. The attacks stopped as abruptly as they had begun. The city slowly began to breathe again, but the mystery remained. Who was the Axeman? Over the years, countless theories have been proposed, but none have ever been definitively proven. One of the most prominent suspects was a man named Joseph Mumford. He was a criminal who was shot and killed in Los Angeles in December 1920 by the widow of Mike Pepitone, the Axeman's last victim. She claimed to have recognized him as her husband's killer. Some investigators at the time believed Mumford, who had a history of violence and extortion, might have been the Axeman, possibly carrying out hits for the mafia. But the evidence was circumstantial at best. Another theory points to the mafia itself, suggesting the killings were not the work of a single serial killer, but a series of targeted mob hits disguised to look like the work of a madman. The fact that most victims were Italian grocers lends some weight to this idea. Perhaps they had refused to pay protection money or had crossed the wrong people. The chiseled door panels and the use of the victim's own weapons could have been a deliberate signature to spread fear and send a message. And then there are the more supernatural theories, fueled by the Axeman's own letter. In a city steeped in voodoo and folklore like New Orleans, it is not surprising that some believed the Axeman was exactly what he claimed to be, a demonic entity. While this is the stuff of horror movies, it speaks to the profound psychological impact the Axeman had on the city's collective imagination. He was more than a man. He was a boogeyman, a real-life monster who came in the night. To this day, the identity of the Axeman of New Orleans remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in criminal history. No one was ever convicted of the crimes. The files are cold, the witnesses are gone, and all that's left is the chilling legend. It's a story that has been told and retold, inspiring books, songs, and even television shows. The Axeman has become a part of New Orleans' dark folklore, a ghost that still haunts the French Quarter. The story serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are real, and sometimes they get away. The Axeman left a scar on the city of New Orleans, a story whispered on dark nights, a melody of jazz mixed with a note of terror. He came, he killed, and he vanished into the mists of history, leaving us with a question that may never be answered. Who was the Axeman? Thanks for joining me on this journey into one of history's most terrifying cold cases. If you found this story as fascinating and unsettling as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the unknown. Let me know your theories about the Axeman in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.